Namaskar everybody. So today I'll be reviewing a book by Vikram Sampath, which is Savarkar, Echoes from a Forgotten Past. So this book is an biography, first part of the two-part biography of Savarkar. So this book particularly talks about the period before the release of Savarkar from prison, all the way from starting of his life, how he developed the revolutionary ideas, and then it goes until he went to London for becoming a barrister, and he got caught there and he was sent back to India to the Andamans, and how he spent his 14 I guess years in Andaman prisons. This story goes till his release from prison. So there is a philosophy that I follow. Before reading a book, first I think we should research the author. Why do I say this? Suppose whenever you want to read a book, you should have faith in the author that whatever you are going to read is actually whether it is going to have an impact, especially for the genre of history and politics. You should know what the author's ideologies are, so you can have a thought process behind your mind that what are you going to expect, what type of literature that you are going to expect. So in this case, Vikram Sampath, I have to research Vikram Sampath. I listened to his speeches, his talks, his interviews. His talks with Art Festival. He was also recommended by Sai Deepak, which is again one of my favorite authors. So, what perspective does Vikram Sampath offer to the Savarkar's history? So, it is an Indic perspective. I can proudly say that the Indic Renaissance that Sai Deepak keep talking about, and Vikram Sampath serves it properly. He does not fall short in again talking about the failures of Savarkar. Also, he does not fall short about praising his ideologies, or it is a well written book with a very little noticeable bias towards the right wing philosophy. But that is again a good thing. I won't discourage it, because a right wing ideology gives way for an Indic renaissance. But that is my opinion, which you may disagree. So let me come back to the review. So I talked about the general overview of this first part. The second part talks about his life after his death. So that would come under the second part or second book. So I would not talk about that in the first book. So this book goes over the period about his early childhood and also his educational journey, where he studied in Nashik. He suffered from plague. His family suffered from plague. How that affected him. The Chafekar brothers, how they affected him. This book allows the reader to know Savarkar was not limited to only Hindutva, but was a much greater human being than that. He was a freedom fighter. He was not only a Hindu nationalist, he was a freedom fighter. He was a poet, he was a writer, he was a fierce orator. Before developing his ideas about Hindutva in his prison, he was a fierce nationalist or an extremist, whatever you call it. He fought for the total independence of Bharat from the British rule. This was the reason he was considered as a D category prisoner, which means dangerous. So he was even denied denied release from prison when a new king was installed. I forgot his name. So this was the kind of revolutionary idea Savarkar had, and he was truly radical in his ways to deliver India its freedom. So this is the character of Savarkar, which is brilliantly portrayed in this book. So is this book a recommend, or is this book a must read? I would say yes. And is this book for new people? And again, I would say yes. This book provides adequate historical context. That means it talks about historical events which are not related directly to Savarkar. So this allows us to understand more clearly what this book is about. Like this book adequately explains how he developed his Hindutva ideas, which is because of the Khilafat movement. It builds on to everything. Then this book again talks about the plague that happened and the Chafekar brothers, which again inspired him. This book mainly allowed me to see Savarkar as not only a radical politician but also understand his poetic skills, understand his literary skills, how he wrote the history of India, history of the War of Independence, which was so considered so dangerous that it was not allowed to come inside India. He wrote the book when he was in London. So that kind of literary skills he had, which were nationalistic, not only limited to a particular group or a particular people, to entire India. This book also talks about how when he was young, when he was in London, he had ideas about Hindu-Muslim unity, which were displayed in his book War of Independence of 1857, and how it changed when he went to prison, where he saw the forceful conversions done by the prison officers. So that is something that we get to know in this book. This book is pretty big. It contains almost 550 pages, and I would say every history enthusiast should read this book because it gives a particularly well written, well documented take on the history of Savarkar. Thank you.